So welcome everybody at my presentation, and I do apologize for not presenting live here at your symposium. My name is Annemarie Spitzen and I am from the Netherlands, where I work for Reptile Amphibian Fish Conservation, the Netherlands. If you have any questions with regard to the topic I'm talking about or any other topics that you would like to discuss, please send me an email, and you can find my address here. I've also repeated it at the end of the presentation. I'd also like to apologize for not presenting in Italian. I won't even try to pronounce some of the words on the slides. Thank you very much, Benedetta, for helping me translating the text on the slides. So hopefully it's all understandable, and if not, please send me a line, and we can talk about it later on. And just a bit of information about myself, because normally at the symposium you talk to each other and you get some sort of an idea of what kind of a person the other one is, but unfortunately here online it's not possible, and especially not because I've pre-recorded my presentation. So this is me. After my graduation, I went to New Zealand for a couple of years, and it was there that I decided I wanted to become a herpetologist. So there was only in my early 20s that I got a love for reptiles and amphibians, which led to my PhD thesis, which I defended in 2018 at the University of Ghent. And it discusses the impact of chytridiomycosis, so the fungal diseases that impact amphibians globally. Furthermore, I really like sports. I do survival run and trail running and so on and so forth. So yeah, hopefully that's a bit of background on me, so at least you know what kind of person is talking to you. And then I would like to introduce what I would like to talk to you about today. So my take-home message actually is, or it's not really take-home message, it's the aim of my presentation of today, is that I would like to tell you how we in the Netherlands try to reach out to the lay public, so that they can be our eyes and ears in the field, because I'm studying the impact of infectious diseases on amphibians especially. You would like to have as many observations in the field as possible, but because amphibians are so small and they have such cryptic lifestyles, it's really hard to detect mortality events. So we need a lot of people being aware that they should be alert, and also that they know whom to report to. And of course, in the Netherlands, it's relatively easy because we are with a lot of people. 17 million people in a really small country, but in Italy, I can assume it's much more difficult, because your country is 7 times larger and it's less densely populated. So you do want everyone walking around in a nature area or just anywhere that they know about this problem, and that you want to reach out to them. So that's the aim of my presentation, that I would like to show you how we do it, and hopefully it has some useful tips for you that you could use in Italy. So then, of course, what is the problem that we're actually talking about? And we know that amphibians are having a really hard time at the moment, and not only amphibians actually, because we as humans, we managed to wipe out over 50%, over 60% even, of all the world vertebrates in only 50 years time, which is a job better done than during the era when the dinosaurs got extinct. And a couple of years ago, a paper has been published on that topic, and it quite nicely shows that although there are various reasons that are responsible for these declines in biodiversity, it is human population size that is directly linked to biodiversity loss. And from all these species groups, amphibians are known to be the most threatened species group today, with an estimated 42% of all known species being threatened in their persistent survival. And it's not easy being green. So the main reason, of course, for the bad situations that amphibians are in is the consequent destruction of their habitat. But of course, they do face many threats, such as the climatic changes and the pollution of their habitat, and also collecting amphibians or introducing invasive species. But today, I want to talk about the impact of pathogens on the persistence of species. And of course, pathogens are part of the natural systems, they are normal components of the plant and animal populations. They also determine the structure and abundance of a community of species. However, it becomes problematic when an introduction of a novel pathogen is being done, because it may disturb the system and imbalance it. And of course, the analogy with COVID is obvious here. So we have a new pathogen that was introduced from another country and is causing massive problems. So it's the same thing with the pathogens that we're studying that impact amphibian populations. So this is quite an impressive, or it's not impressive. It has a lot of information, but please note that I doubled it. So on top is the English version, and the bottom one is the Italian one. So you need to read one of them. So that hopefully eases this slide a bit. Because we made this scheme and it shows the 3 or perhaps 4, if you want to distinguish the invasion/epidemic phase. So this scheme shows the invasion phases of an invasive pathogen, and during each of these phases, you want to follow the pathogen of interest. So in the pre-invasion phase, you want to know, okay, what can I expect in my region or country or a garden, whatever, and you want to be aware what you can expect, and you want to look out for it. So has it already entered my population? And then second, when it has actually entered your country or nature reserve, you want to follow it. How is it spreading? Where is it spreading to? How fast is it spreading? Which species are being impacted? So that's also where you need a lot of eyes of the public, because it's really hard to follow, especially when you have quite a large country or area of interest. And then in the last phase, when the pathogen has sort of established, such as with COVID at the moment, I mean, there's some sort of equilibrium at the moment, but we're still being very vigilant about new strains. And that also counts for amphibian pathogens. So we are still worried about new strains, new pathogens that are being introduced, and that might start over the whole cyclus again. So you're continuously observing populations and monitoring trends and mortality events. And because sick and dead amphibians are much less conspicuous than dead swans, especially when they just drop dead on a parking lot, you need to come up with some sort of plan to ensure you can have many people being aware of your problem. And that's why we started an early warning system. Because as I already said a couple of times, you need a lot of eyes and ears in the field to observe your dead and sick herpetofauna. And I would like to illustrate this, why it is so important with an example on chytridiomycosis. I already mentioned it in my introduction on myself, that there are 2 chytrid fungi, Chytridium dendrobatidis, which was discovered in 1999, and is mainly lethal to endurance, so toads and frogs. And there's Pathogen salamandriforans B cell, which was discovered in 2013 in the Netherlands. So we already knew that BD existed, and in the Netherlands we have a national monitoring scheme. So all amphibian population, or not all amphibian species at least, they are being monitored, and we have a group of dedicated volunteers who monitor our few fire salamander populations. And they told me in the early 2000s, 2009, that they were seeing a lot of dead animals and that they did not see many live ones anymore. So this observation of these people who are in the field and they recorded something and they reported it to me led to the discovery of B cell. And now we only have 1.0% of this population remaining. So there's a decrease of 99.9%, and there's no sign of recovery of this population. So what I want to illustrate is this: if these people would not have been in the field, it might have taken a much longer time before we would know that there was the threat of a novel pathogen. So this B cell pathogen, Pathogen salamandriforans. So salamandriforans literally means salamander devouring, and that's also what it does. As you can see at this top left image, it literally eats away the skin of the salamander, and it occurs naturally in Asia. And we think, or at least it is suggested, that it was transported via the trade in exotic animals and exotic amphibians to Europe, and there somehow it got into the system, and there it kills off the newts and salamanders that are really highly susceptible for this pathogen. So the first outbreak that I discussed earlier on the fire salamander was here in the south of the country. And then we had a volunteer in the center part of the Netherlands, that you can see here. And that person was monitoring spadefoot toads, and he found 2 dead crested newts. And this volunteer, he thought, okay, I'll give them to Annemarie because she wants to analyze them. And unfortunately, these animals also died from Pathogen salamandriforans. So in a couple of years, it went from here as being the only location that we knew B cell was there, to this side over here. We don't know if there's any connection or how it has spread from south to the center of the Netherlands. But at least what I want to illustrate here is that because we had this person who saw these dead crested newts and thought about keeping the animals and giving them to me so we could analyze them, that we were able to discover this second outbreak of B cell in the Netherlands. So how do we reach out? Of course, we are really lucky that we have a national monitoring project. So we already have a lot of volunteers in the field who monitor reptiles, amphibians, and also fish species in the Netherlands. So these are an easy target. We can just bombard them with all the leaflets and information things that we provide, that we make on for instance, Roundup virus. And we also made a leaflet discussing all the, or not all, some of the most common lesions and diseases that we see in amphibians. We recently made one for reptiles as well. So people can, in the field, can already have an idea, okay, this is what I could encounter, and this is what is of interest to report to RAVON. Of course, we also use newspapers, magazines, both online, but also physically, because especially if you want to reach out to the public that is not yours already, you want to broadcast your message as wide as possible, so you reach out to everyone. So these are just some articles that we wrote in both Dutch and UK magazines. And of course, really important one is using radio and television. Also because these things are also broadcasted on via the social media. So you don't only reach out to the analog people, but also to the online people. Something we do less and less is this bottom left picture that shows lecturing to a small group of people, because then you, of course, is really valuable, but you reach out to a group of people who are already very observant anyway. So if you want to get as many sightings as possible, we now prefer to do some more mass broadcasting than just this narrow focused lectures during the evenings. So of course, there's the website where you can, where there's a form, the website of RAVON, and there's a form for people to report their dead animals and add a picture, so we can see if it's not a victim, a traffic victim, or if it is really something interesting that we that we would like to study even further. So of course, for me, it leads to an inbox full of dirty pictures, but they are very, very welcome. And in early spring, for example, we get a lot of people sending in these mass mortality events in toads, and this is a natural phenomenon caused by rats and polecats. I don't know if you have it in Italy as well. Probably you have. But it's just massive piles of dead toads, and it's very disturbing for people to see. So we get them, but this is not something that we look into. It's just something that we register, but that's it. But of course, it's really good that people, when they see this, they know that we're interested, and they reach out to you so you can have a discussion. And then the next time they might see something that actually is a dead animal caused by a disease. So then it's a win-win situation. So from throughout the country, luckily we get reports. Of course, you see some concentrations where the bigger cities are, or where there are more people monitoring. But overall, we get quite a good spread over the country of people reporting things that they have seen and they want to have an explanation, or that they are worried about, because sometimes we get reports from people who say, oh, this year I hardly have any newts in my garden pond, how come? And then that might actually cause a new observation, or an interesting insight. And not very often it's nothing, but it's always good to have the discussion and to have the contact with people. So another interesting thing is that this early warning system is not just focusing on the chytrid fungi, but it just can be a platform to discover all kind of new things. So indeed, these early warning system led to the discovery of B-cell, but also led to the discovery of a ranavirus outbreak or mass mortality event due to ranavirus in Pelobatus fuscus, in the spadefoot toad. And it also leads to really nice pattern of all kind of other diseases that amphibians might have, but they don't necessarily need to die from, such as from herpes viruses. In the early summer, we get a lot of people reporting these kind of lesions in toads and in frogs, and we have not seen deaths, mortalities because of these pathogens, but it's really interesting to record, and also these derm-assisted infections. So it's really really, really interesting. Hopefully, the information that is already available is useful for you as a national or a regional working group to alter and change. So you could reach out to the volunteers and everybody else that you want to reach out to. On the YouTube channel of RAVON, there are some animations. They have various subtitles as well. So there's also subtitles in Italian that you might want to share or use for your own purpose. And this is also a very interesting website. This is the early warning system from Europe, so bceleurope.com. And it also contains a lot of English information material, but also some that are translated in Italian that you can use. For instance, there's a leaflet on the symptoms, and there's also a field hygiene leaflet, so that explains how to clean your boots and your gear when you go into the fields to prevent you from bringing an infection from one side to the other. And of course, there's Italian scientists working on amphibian fungi. These are Sebastiano Sofidio and Elena Grasselli, and these are the contact details. So if you have found something worrying, please contact them. Of course, you can also reach out to me or to the people that you find on the website bcel.com, but of course it's much easier and faster if you contact these people. They're really, really kind and and willing to help. So I'm pretty sure that they were really, really happy with all the reports and sightings that you have. This was my presentation. I hope I have been able to help. Thank you very much for your attention. Hopefully it wasn't too dull being a pre-recorded presentation, because I know it could be really lengthy. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. And I hope you have a really good rest of the conference. Thank you very much for inviting me. Bye-bye.